Welcome to Dual Screens. I'm Matt.
And I'm Nick, and I love Metal Gear Solid. We love Metal Gear Solid. A lot of people love Metal Gear Solid. It's a great series of games. My personal favorite is Snake Eater.
Well, I wanted to toss up that or Metal Gear Solid on the PlayStation, but today we're going to stray away from the main series and instead take a look at Metal Gear Solid on the Game Boy Color.
Now, I know what you're thinking, but this is not a port of the PlayStation 1 version. It's a completely different story. In fact, outside of the US, it's known as Ghost Babel, completely dropping Solid altogether.
So it makes me wonder how many kids got the Game Boy Color game instead of the PlayStation 1 for Christmas that year.
I don't know. But let's see if age has slowed this game down one bit. Let's check out Metal Gear Solid Ghost Babel.
I thought you said it was Babel.
It might be that.
Well, let's jam.
I doubt that Metal Gear needs much of an introduction, but in case you don't know, and to pad out this review, Metal Gear is a series of games where the main focus is tactical espionage action, created by Hideo Kojima and published by Konami way back in their heyday.
Now, as we said before, this is not the PlayStation 1 game we all know and love. Despite having a lot of similar story elements and recurring characters, this is a non-canon story, and not to be confused with Metal Gear Solid.
We begin with Colonel Campbell bringing Solid Snake out of retirement because of an incident in the fictional South African nation of Gindra.
Nick, how many times have they taken Snake out of retirement by now?
As far as the continuity of this one is concerned, only once. Yeah, this continuity is a little weird. It follows on from Metal Gear, but it's not Metal Gear 2, it's not Snake's Revenge, it doesn't tie into Metal Gear Solid, it's not Metal Gear Acid. Yeah, you know what, this timeline's confusing. Just, Matt, put up a flowchart to explain this better than I can. Anyway, a group of insurgents known as the Gindra Liberation Front, or GLF, led by General Augustin Egwaban, seized a new model of Metal Gear in order to break themselves out of the civil war ravaging their country. The kicker is that the GLF's base is the Fortress Gallowade, originally known as Outer Heaven, Big Boss's military nation. Remember that sequence in Metal Gear Solid 2? Anyway, from there, if you've played a Metal Gear game before, you know what the story will be like. Lots of talk about nuclear weapons, government conspiracies, and war, and how it's changed or something.
For a game that's rated E, the story is surprisingly adult. I mean, they straight up talk about ethnic cleansing at some point. I would have at least expected a teen rating with this. Really makes me wonder how well the ESRB was paying attention to this one.
Nah, they paid attention. Look, Snake's got a fogger. Maybe it's like a vape cig.
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, it talks about genocide, people getting blown up and shot. But cigarettes? Nah. No good, that's where the line is drawn. But now for the gameplay. If you're worried that a stealth game on the Game Boy Color really wouldn't work all that well, don't worry. Ghost Babel stands up as a really solid title.
Ha, solid.
Okay, I walked into that one, but this gameplay is about the same as the original Metal Gear. A punches and B fires your equipped weapon, as well as lets you peek up ahead when pressed against a wall. It's a pretty simple control scheme that never feels limited. I never once found myself saying, boy, if only I had an extra button. It works well with what it's got. Boss fights especially test your skill at the game. You need quick reflexes and clever use of your items to defeat Viper and the rest of the Black Chamber.
Another thing this game doesn't leave out is the codec conversations. You'd think with a much smaller scale version of Metal Gear Solid, a game that had to be spanned across 2 discs onto a simple Game Boy cart, that the codec conversations would be cut down. But nope, just like all the other Metal Gear Solid games, you can sit and enjoy meleeing waxing philosophy all day. Or at least as long as your Game Boy's battery lasts. Fun fact, in the Japanese and European copies, there's a hidden frequency for an audio drama written by Kojima called Idea Spy 2.5. Don't know why this was cut for the US release, it's a pretty good read. Oh, and a shout out to the excellent attention to detail with grates waking up sleeping guards and animals alerting everyone. They didn't have to do that, but it's a nice touch.
Speaking of detail, look at the sprite work, it's nothing short of amazing. I mean, look at Metal Gear, I just love this overall.
Last thing I gotta say is that the music is pretty good. It complements the mood of the game perfectly. Here's a quick little sample.
But as good as Ghost Babel is, there are some concerns about the actual system restrictions of the Game Boy Color. I feel it sometimes plays with its limitations and gets held back by them. First and the most obvious is the screen size is pretty small, meaning the radar map can be pretty hard to see. And if you don't want to strain your eyes, I recommend playing this on the Game Boy Player or anything that can give you a backlight. And then there's some stages that could be beaten within minutes on your first go, sometimes even less. And then there's some stages if you don't know where to go and what to do, they can take more than half an hour to beat.
If I had to criticize this game, it's that the puzzles are kinda weak. Not all of them are bad, but two frustrated me immensely. One was a conveyor belt maze that had you switching between 3 different colored boxes, which doesn't sound hard, but it can quickly get annoying because it's just trying every possible combination until you figure out which is the correct route. Use a guide, the trial and error is not worth the headache. And then there was this one door puzzle that's solved by closing all of them and then just walking through the closed doors. How in the name of Big Boss's mullet are you supposed to know that?
I don't know, I found that one more funny than annoying. Sounds like a thing Kojima would do to mess with the players. I totally would have.
Oh yeah? Well, how about the vents then? Tactical, espionage, action! Oh, and it's a bit annoying to have to switch back and forth between your keycard and your items just to open doors. Would have been nice to just have doors that open automatically when you have the card, but to be fair, that's a problem in the PlayStation game too, so I'll let it slide.
Though I do have a personal complaint of my own, and that's with the saving system. It's not necessarily bad, it's just one that doesn't exactly leave you where you last saved, say like Warrior Land 2. It just puts you to the last checkpoint instead. And with some stages taking a while to beat, it can get pretty annoying, especially when you gotta reacquire the items you got last. Though this could be easily overlooked.
Lastly, all the boss fights are pretty engaging, except for Metal Gear itself. The second phase is just a battle of attrition. I know he's basically a walking tank, but just drags on longer than necessary.
But the positive about the game has a pretty decent length to it. It can be finished about 5 to 6 hours, and there's a ton of extra VR missions after you beat the game to give yourself a little bit extra challenge. Overall, Ghost Battle is that kind of game that despite the limitations of the Game Boy, still manages to turn out a novel entry in the Metal Gear series.
Everything that you love about Metal Gear Solid is in Ghost Babel. The story and characters, the fun boss fights, the codec conversations and Easter eggs, and the intense stealth gameplay, it's all there.
While nowhere nearly as evolved as Peace Walker or Portable Ops.
It's a game that I still dare say is pretty good.
Though, it's a shame this game got overlooked just because someone at Konami of America thought it was a good idea to rename it Metal Gear Solid instead of keeping the original title intact.
Yeah, unfortunately there are a lot of things that Konami thinks are good ideas nowadays.
Silent Hill.
But until next time, everyone, take care. Well, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and subscribe if you're interested for more.
Check out our last video that we did on Resident Evil 4, and if you want to see more of me, I have a gameplay channel where I did videos about Metal Gear Solid Phantom Pain. You know, just in case you want to keep this train a-rolling.
But thank you for watching. We hope to see you again, so until next time, take care.